you very much. Thank you for that warm welcome. Thank you for those kind words. And thank you for not mentioning that I lost running for President of the United States. I thank you. After I lost, I slept like a baby. Sleep 2 hours, wake up and cry. Sleep 2 hours. I'm very happy to be with you. May I mention... And could I mention, I ask your sympathy for the families of the state of Arizona, as Barry Goldwater from Arizona ran for President of the United States, Morris Udall from Arizona ran for President of the United States, Bruce Babbitt from Arizona ran, I from Arizona ran. Arizona may be the only state in America where mothers don't tell their children that someday they can grow up and be President of the United States. So I ask your sympathy. I noticed that the conference was introduced by my dear and beloved friend, Joe Lieberman, the finest man I have ever known in my life. And Joe and I traveled together extensively for many, many years, literally every corner of the world. Well, just prior to Joe's leaving the Senate, there was a big, wonderful dinner at the Israeli embassy for Joe, and all the important people in Washington were there. And there was speaker after speaker after speaker extolling the virtues and record and wonderment and beauty of Joe Lieberman, and all was true. And I was the last speaker. So I said, look, I'm not going to tell you about Joe Lieberman, you've already heard, but I have an announcement to make. I have spent all these years with Joe Lieberman eating salmon, riding the Shabbat elevator, not being able to ride in a car on Saturday. I've had to go through all this all these years, and I've gotten none of the benefits, so I'm announcing my conversion to Judaism. And Joe said, that was great, only I had to have a bris. So I've changed my mind. I thank all of you for being here, trying to do the Lord's work in the city of Satan, and the snow may have shut down the government, but obviously it can't shut down AIPAC. By the way, in case you missed it, only 12% of Americans approve of Congress. We're down to paid staff and blood relatives. My mother is 102 years old. That wonderful? She called me the other day. We're now down to paid staff. So I really do come to you this morning with a heavy heart. With a heavy heart and great sadness because of the events that are taking place in Ukraine. And what happens in Ukraine is directly related to what happens in the Middle East, and obviously we know that what happens in the Middle East is vital to the existence of the State of Israel. I'm not going to go through the history of Ukraine with you, but the fact is Crimea is a sovereign part of the sovereign nation of Ukraine. And the people of Ukraine, by the hundreds of thousands, went to a square in sub-freezing weather that's saying that they did not want to be part of Putin's Russia. And that's what it was all about. And now that the Olympics are over, immediately afterwards, we now see the occupation of Crimea. And by the way, in case you missed it, one of the reasons why there's a majority population of Russians in Crimea is because Stalin exported all the Tatars. Over half of them were killed as he deported them from the Crimea. But the fact is that this is a blatant act on the part of Vladimir Putin, and one that must be unacceptable to the world community. It cannot stand. And I have to be very honest with you, there is not a military option that could be exercised now, but the most powerful and biggest and strongest nation in the world should have plenty of options, and those options are many. ranging from identifying these kleptocrats, these corruption people, and the people that ordered this, and the Magnitsky Act. Thank God for the Magnitsky Act. We could expand it and identify those people, and it would be their last trip to Las Vegas. So we can enact economic sanctions. We can, there's a broad array of options that we have. Why do we care? Because this is the ultimate result of a feckless foreign policy where nobody believes in America's strength anymore. In 2009, many of you may remember, as we saw on YouTube, we saw a young woman named Netta bleed to death in the street in Tehran when the people of Iran rose up and said, Obama, are you with us, or are you with us, or are you with them? And you know what? The President of the United States didn't say a word. The President of the United States believes that the Cold War is over. That's fine, it is over, but Putin doesn't believe it's over. He doesn't believe that this is a zero-sum game. Look at Moldova. Look at the occupation of Georgia. Look at the pressure on the Baltic nations. Look at what they're doing in assisting Bashar Assad slaughter tens of thousands of innocent people in cities and towns and countryside all over Syria. It is an outrage. And these people, and Vladimir Putin, while he is cooperating with us in the removal of chemical weapons, plane load after plane load of regular weapons, of artillery, of rockets, of tanks, are landing at the airport in Damascus, slaughtering innocent people. And I will tell you, it's hard for a mother to differentiate whether their child has been killed by a chemical weapon or one of these horrible barrel bombs that are basically cluster bombs that are being dropped on innocent civilians all over Syria, and we have sat by and watched it happen. And if Bashar Assad prevails, it will directly endanger the security of the State of Israel, and this is now turned into a regional conflict. Lebanon is destabilized. What do you think those 5,000 Hezbollah fighters are going to be like when they return from the fighting in Syria to southern Lebanon? What do you think is going to happen if Bashar Assad continues to prevail as far as the other nations in the region are concerned? Jordan, probably our best friend, is destabilized. The whole situation cries out for American leadership, and I'm sorry to tell you, it's MIA. Now let me also and by the way, a couple of my favorites. Tell Vladimir that I'll be more flexible when I'm reelected. Tell Vladimir I'll be more flexible when I'm reelected. I want to talk about Iran a minute with you, because there is a significant difference of opinion, even here amongst our dear friends, as to whether sanctions should be passed by the Congress of the United States if the talks fail. And my argument to you is, do you believe that in light of recent events of the last 5 years that the Iranian mullahs think we're serious? I don't think so. I don't think so. I believe the Iranian people can have access to peaceful civilian nuclear energy, but that doesn't require an industrial uranium enrichment program. It doesn't require a heavy water reactor. It doesn't require advanced centrifuges. And it certainly doesn't require nuclear facilities dug deep into mountains. I hope, as you do, that we can find a peaceful resolution to this crisis. And the only reason there may be a modest chance for that now is because of your tireless efforts and support. Thank you, and God bless you for your tireless effort and support. I believe we have to keep the pressure on. Iran's rulers must know that the only alternative to compromising on our terms is even more crippling sanctions or worse. And that's why I believe the Senate should pass new bipartisan sanctions legislation that would take effect if the current negotiations don't succeed. We must stop Iran from developing a nuclear weapons capability, and we must do so because of the nature of the threat posed by this Iranian regime. It's not an arms control challenge. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard is in Syria slaughtering people today. They are training these extremists, and they will not quit. This regime in Iran is the world's leading sponsor of terror. It has murdered Americans, Israelis, and Jews across the globe. It is categorically devoted to the destruction of the State of Israel. It is training and arming militant groups across the Middle East. It's destabilizing its neighbors and meddling in their affairs. It's developing sophisticated ballistic weapon missiles, including ICBMs that could target America. And more than any foreign actor, the blood of Syria is on Iranians' hands. I know AIPAC was criticized for supporting the use of force in Syria after the chemical weapons attack last year. That was a seminal moment. When a president of the United States says that that president is going to take military action and does not, that sends a message all the way around the globe, as far away as China. If we're not willing to take action when an anti-American, anti-Semitic tyrant gasses 1,400 innocent people to death, what does it say about us? You did the right thing, and I commend you for it. You know, a lot of my fellow countrymen say, we're weary of war. We want to get out. I hear this phrase over and over again. There'll never be another land war which the United States engages in. Do you know how many times in history that's been said? Do you know how many times prior to World War II, when Hitler marched into the Sudetenland, and when Neville Chamberlain said, we're not going to fight in a faraway country for people that don't speak our language and we don't know? My friends, the lessons of history are that we have to be ready. And as Ronald Reagan used to say, peace through strength, not through weakness, and not through cutting our defense budget back to the smallest army than we've had since prior to World War II. So with you, my friends, I see Americans who want our country to be engaged in events beyond our borders. I see Americans who want an internationalist foreign policy. I see Americans who want our country to stand with Israel and our other partners. I see Americans who are willing to spend their hard-earned tax dollars on effective foreign assistance and to strengthen the greatest military the world has ever known. I see here today Americans who want America to lead. My friends, I've been around a long time, and in fact, since the Coolidge administration. But I would say to you, I have never seen this world in need of strong American leadership than it is today. And I believe the events of these negotiations with Iran, which I hope to succeed, but I doubt. When I see the slaughter in Syria, when I see the Chinese asserting themselves in Asia, when I see, in response, significant cuts in foreign aid and also in our defense budget, I'm worried. My final word to you, my dear and beloved friends, America and Israel needs you more today than ever before. Thank you, and God bless.